The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. It's Down to Business with Jack Miller. Forget what they teach you in school. This is real life. Not Wall Street, but Main Street. He and his guests will answer your questions and provide you with valuable information. Stay tuned and join in the conversation. Follow them on Facebook at Jack Miller Down to Business or on Twitter at HJackMiller1.
When the earth was created.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our show. This is Jack Miller here with my main man, Todd Cohen. Todd, how was your week?
Week's been great. Today was a little less than great, but the week overall has been great.
So what happened today that made it less than great?
A very dear friend, basically an uncle of mine, passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Your condolences are accepted, and I will get through it somehow.
Unfortunately, we all have to face life's ups and downs. And actually, that's a big part of the show. We have two great guests on. The first guest we're going to have on is a guy by the name of Scott Lumley, who's a motivational speaker. This guy's gotten knocked down and picked up and knocked down and picked up 20 times. Then we're going to have Cliff Pierre, a social media marketing expert. And I think a lot of the show is about optimism and hope and getting through the tough times and good times.
That's right. I mean, that's what they say. I mean, I guess, who was it? Mike Tyson, who once said, it's not how hard you can punch, but it's how you take a punch and keep going that sets you apart from the other boxers, right?
Actually, one of my favorite quotes is Mark Cuban quotes Mike Tyson when he says, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
There you go.
That's another one.
That's right. It's pretty similar,
which is
right?
true. So let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
You take Uber or Lyft. What do you think of the whole Uber experience?
Overall, I think it's been a game changer for the positive, but I'm not a girl. I'm not a woman. So I don't have that paradigm to sort of weigh my answers from.
I don't get it. What's an Uber have to do with being I don't get that.
So imagine yourself being a woman on your own and getting picked up by a strange man driving a car at night or somewhere.
Got it.
Okay, so that's never been part of my frame of reference. So I could see where that could be scary. No more or less scary than a cab driver, I guess, but scary. And I can tell you that I read in the news that Uber is now abolishing a policy they had, which is to settle all sexual harassment and sexual assault cases out of court on the DL by themselves. That was a policy they had. They're no longer going to be doing that because now they're having an IPO coming up and they want to sort of get that bad image out of the company frame. But that's sort of scary when you think about it. They basically swept all sexual harassment and sexual assault cases by drivers, employees, anything.
I think that's pretty common amongst companies today. The sad part is with this whole Me Too movement and sexual assault movement, I don't really want to get too much into it because I'm going to get in trouble. But all you have to do is be accused of something improper, and it's a career ender.
Correct.
Doesn't seem fair to me. I don't know.
And I don't know.
Why I brought up Uber? Because I'm a big fan of Uber. And you know what it dawned on me actually this weekend? Why I like Uber is because I get to meet different people. When I get in Uber, I'm either very quiet and I don't say anything, or I try to learn about them. And you get to meet people of different cultures and faiths and backgrounds. And it seems that these are hardworking, salt-of-the-earth people who a lot of them are immigrants who are coming to this country just for a better life.
Right.
And you really get to, I don't know about you, but even though I talk to people all day long, you really don't get to know people. And when you're in Uber, I find they open up to you. They tell you their life's experience. Even if it's a 10, 15-minute ride, they give you sort of a picture into the world, and it helps frame me a little bit more. And I have a tremendous respect for a lot of these people that I wouldn't ordinarily talk to.
Now, from a business standpoint, what's your feeling about how Uber and Lyft have displaced the taxi cab industry and all of those people? Because a lot of those experiences you're talking about, a lot of people could say the same thing from like the 80s and 90s of their experience with cab drivers. I mean,
I've taken 1 million cabs, and to be candid with you, I've never had great experiences. Uber drivers seem to, they people, I don't know what it is. People open up to me. The best is when women open up to me and tell me like all kinds of deep-seated stuff, some sexual stuff. People like, I don't know why, they must be fooled, but they tell me their stories. And I think they're hardworking, great people, most of them.
Right.
How it's placed businesses, I know a lot of medallion owners and taxi cab companies have been hurt, but that's everything. Think of all the businesses over the past 20 years.
It's the evolution. It's the way of life.
Yeah, they didn't reinvent themselves.
And by the way, the taxi cab industry has its warts too, as any other company or industry has, where they have sort of like a mob-like mentality where they were corrupt and they illegally bought and controlled licenses and put other car companies out of business and did things that were untoward in a lot of cities as well. So look, I have no problem. I think it's great. I think it's the natural evolution. And once they can sort of figure out getting self-driving cars perfected, or at least as perfected as it can get, I think it will really change the way.
I'm looking forward to that because I don't like to drive. I'm a terrible driver.
Well, let's talk about the driving down here. I think that's always a good topic for conversation. I can't stand the way people drive in this market. I'm from Philly. I lived in New York for 10 years. People are crazy up there. They are always in a rush, yes. But at least there's sort of some order to the chaotic driving up there. People know what they're doing. They can drive in bad weather.
You're saying Florida drivers are bad drivers?
I've never seen anything like it. I think that this
driving's terrible down here.
The worst driving.
And there's car accidents all the time.
All the time. And train accidents.
The train, what's it called, the Bright Line?
Yeah, the new Bright Line.
For those folks who aren't in Florida, it seems, and we both live in Florida, someone is getting killed by a Bright Line train, it seems like every week. I don't know how people are getting hit by trains. They're loud. You can hear them a mile away, but
are people, pedestrians, getting hit by trains, or are the people in cars?
I think a combination of both. Frankly, I'm amazed by how anyone gets hit by a train, but it happens all the time.
Some people do it on purpose. And that's another topic
correct.
we could bring up with one of our guests today. A favorite topic of ours is suicide. Did some people choose? I don't really understand that one. But
yep, I agree with you. So let me ask you a serious question.
Go ahead, do it.
Okay. If I know your wife, she's a very lovely lady, and I'm not talking about my wife, who's I love very much. What do you think is appropriate behavior for what I call sick sex?
So sex.
So
now
if
you're
your
not
wife
talking
is
about
sick,
like twisted.
No. I'm talking about your wife has a cold or a fever or a flu. Like, what should be the policy?
Tell you my safe words and stuff.
No. What should be the policy?
Okay, so here's
Are you
the
allowed
thing.
to make love to your wife when she's sick?
I'm neurotic like you are. Okay, and I have thought about this in my own way. Here's the thing. In a weird way, I'm very reticent to kiss my wife when she's sick because I think it's going to get me sick. But then I think about it, and I actually have thought about it. I mean, how can that be the way that you're going to get sick, but exchanging other types of fluids, you're safe, right?
So I mean, you've been married for how long?
Almost 9 years.
So you're still making out with your wife?
Yes.
How often, like?
Making out?
I don't know, like tongue action, just normal stuff. Fairly often.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, that's good. But forget about the kissing, okay? I'm talking about the consummating. If your wife has a cold or a flu or she's not feeling well.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, part of me, doesn't want to, like, do the mouth-to-mouth kissing. And
forget
and
about the kissing. I'm talking other stuff.
I understand. But then when you really think about it, the rest of it is just as contagious as, probably more so. I mean, you can contract anything from in a lot of different ways. So, I mean,
so there's
if
no
you're going to do
sex
one,
you.
You should be
so
able to, you should be
I
willing
take
to do
it,
everything.
when your wife isn't feeling well, it doesn't excite you at all.
Sometimes it does. That like husky like voice when like yet they have something like bronchial. There's something about that's a little bit sexy, and I think I like it.
I don't know what it is. I may be a weirdo, but when I feel bad for her when she has like a cold or a flu.
I misquoted how long I've been married, by the way, and my wife is going to kill me later.
Okay, clear it up.
It's almost 8 years.
I'm not going to ask you the date. I'm not going to ask you the date.
I apologize to everyone. It's almost 8 years. I'm getting ahead of myself.
I got you.
I'm not trying to say it feels like longer than it is.
We got to take a break in a minute, and we're going to have Scott Lumley. But just for the record, I may be a weirdo, but I hate when my wife's not feeling well. But sometimes she kind of just lets me have it just to shut me up. That's a way. Yes, 100%. She's learned that's the best way to shut me up, whether I need it or not.
Sex.
Yes.
That will get you stop talking.
Yeah, I change the channel.
For those 2 minutes.
I leave her alone. She just wants me to leave her alone. I bug her and bug her and bug her until I get what I want. It's like sales.
Fair enough.
You know? Anyway, we got to take a break, everyone. We'll be back in, I think, 60 seconds with Scott Lumley. He's a super energetic guy and a cowboy, and I can't wait to talk to him.
Does your company need financing to help with cash flow or make a purchase? Gouts Financial Corporation has been in business since 1989 and knows the financing that businesses need to succeed in today's competitive environment. Gelt offers a wide array of programs such as accounts receivable, factoring, asset-based lines of credit, commercial real estate purchase and refinance financing, and bridge loans. If your business needs financing, call us right now at 561-221-0900 to learn if you qualify. Gouts Financial understands that every business is in a unique situation, which requires a unique solution. We pride ourselves on thinking outside the box to secure even the most difficult financing. Call us right now at 561-221-0900 or visit us at geltfinancial.com. That's GELT Financial.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Todd, I am super excited. We're going to bring on Scott Lumley in a minute. Scott is the author of 2 books. This book, his first book, Don't Look Me Up. And Scott is my interpretation. We're going to ask him in a minute. We're going to bring him on. He had a troubled childhood. But he really built himself up to be an award-winning, I don't know if you call it cowboy or rodeo or whatever, but he won, I think, like 400 or 600 awards on the circuit, the rodeo circuit. A serial entrepreneur, got kicked in the nuts, excuse the expression, by the government.
By life.
Yep.
I mean,
Up
really.
and down and up and down. He's a motivational speaker. He's in the commercial real estate business. He's a teacher. He's an author. He also just wrote a book, Underdog the Champion, The Entrepreneur's Pocket Guide, a business startup guide, and it's excellent. So let's bring Scott on. He has a fantastic story. Scott, thank you for joining us. It's good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, Jack, thank you for having me.
Scott, maybe you could start off by telling people your story. I tried to do it in a minute, but I probably didn't do it justice.
Well, I don't know if I could tell mine in 6 or 8 years, but I'll give it a shot here. Run away at the age of 11 years old, obviously abused by my parents from a divorced family. My father went to prison when I was 4 years old and ran away, thought I had found some sanctitude with a preacher, and found out that he was a child molester, and went through that for several years. Finally away from that, and the whole time that was going on, I had constantly been riding on a ranch that I worked at simultaneously, and also a garden center that I worked at. And just kind of the escape is to become a bull rider and make money on the weekends, so I could slowly get out of that trap.
Right. Now bull riding and rodeo in general, you get up on that bull and you fall down and you get back up again, right? And that seems to be sort of a metaphor for your life in a lot of ways.
Well, you get back up, or you get the living crap knocked out of you again. You learn. It's funny. I've had several people laugh at me. I've got a couple of videos of me hitting the ground, and I'm actually trying to run, and I'm completely knocked cold, because it becomes a subconscious thing for you. Just the minute you hit the ground, you try to get back up and keep moving forward. And it has become a metaphor for my life and my business. Losing just isn't an option.
Right. What's your record for the most time on a wild bull during a rodeo?
Well, I mean, you only get 8 seconds. If you make 8 seconds, you've covered the bull. So
it's kind of like sex.
Well, it's actually twice as long as sex for me. But
I understand. I'm the same thing.
I've got my time cut down so I can get it done, get on to something else, make money.
I got it. So what age were you, is the word a cowboy or a bull rider? What's like the proper terminology?
Well, I was an all-around cowboy, which is kind of cool because, I started off riding bulls and migrated over into broncs and then migrated over into cutting horses and working cow horses and ropers. And I've done just a little bit of everything. As you start aging, riding bulls is a young man's game. But as you start aging, you have to kind of move into things that suit your body. And as I got older, I had to start doing things that were easier on my body. So I had over 400 professional wins and over 14 world titles.
From what age were you, like, when you did this?
Well, I started off at the age of 12. Really, 11 or 12 was the first time I got on a small steer. And then it just was natural to me. I'd always been an athlete, so it was kind of natural to me. And I really retired I'm 38 years old, which was about 10 years longer than I should have.
So before, look, I asked you to come on the show because I find you super inspirational, and I want America to know that it's okay to fall down because you can get back up. And I want to tell you that story about you in a minute. But I'm basically an immature guy, so I have to ask you a couple stupid questions first. So you were in what I'll call the circuit from like your prime testosterone years, from like 18 to 24, something like that. Were there like female groupies who like would hang on and throw themselves at cowboys and bull riders?
Yeah, that's the reason why Wrangler loves sponsoring us, because we had the best butts in the country.
I got you.
So yeah, there was a lot of groupies. There was a lot of women like cowboys. They know they're tough, and they know they're going to take care of them in a tough spot. So women like cowboys.
I missed the boat. That's what I thought. I had a feeling that. Okay, so tell us your story. What gives you the drive? And maybe just tell everyone why you wrote the book. Again, don't look me up. And I'll give it another plug. I got it as soon as I met Scott, and I read it. It was a weekend read. It was a fantastic read. I couldn't put it down. And I thought about just getting knocked down and get back up. What do you think gives you the drive to keep getting back up?
Well, I think it naturally comes from my sports experience with bulls and horses. I think that's probably where it started off. Now, I think as you go on in life, you find other things that you learn that happen throughout your life that actually gives you more inspiration to keep pushing forward. In my particular case, it was the suicide and death of my brother that really, really drove me forward. I actually was contemplating suicide at the exact same moment in time, literally in the exact same moment in time that my brother took his life. And that really changed everything about me. That really gave me the desire to really start pushing real hard, because here's a kid that had no problems, and here I had the federal government after me, and I had all these issues with my companies going bankrupt and just a big old mess. And here God took a kid that's a great kid and left the piece of crap behind. Right. And that's what changed it for me. That's when I decided to pull my boots on, put my boots back on, kick my spurs back on, and get back to, trying to help people and show people that it doesn't matter what you go through in life. You can go through the child abuse that I went through, and obviously the sexual abuse I went through. You can go through the trials and tribulations of life and business, and obviously the death of family members that you were close to, and still, lose your companies and still fight and make it through it. And so I felt like that needed to be put in print. It was I tell everybody, writing the book was like being naked and standing in the middle of the street naked. And because you're exposing everything in your life when you do something like this.
That's right.
So it's been quite cool to hear the responses. And it's been really neat to see the people that it's touched, that have come to me to talk to me and saying, thank you for doing it. So I'm really proud of the book. It's been it's been even inspirational for me.
So maybe give everyone a little bit of background on, you talked about your brother's tragic suicide, getting in problems with the government, losing a company. How do you summarize that for people who haven't read the book in a couple minutes? Tell everyone like the story behind that and how you rebounded. What gives you the inner strength? I guess it was your brother's suicide that gives you the inner strength.
How old were you when your brother?
Well, Jack, I've got some interference. I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you, but I think you asked me how my brother what pushed me at the end of this thing. Here's the thing. I think it come down to this. I assume God did this. There has to be a divine reason why somebody does something like that, because it doesn't make any sense to me. But although I think it come down to when he took his life, and he had a perfect life, and I was in the process of taking my life literally at 12:55 at night when I got the phone call from my father, who never calls me, by the way. I have no relationship with him whatsoever. So when the phone rang, obviously I knew it was something important. I think that was the defining moment that really, truly said, okay, it's time to get past all my own personal demons, the past, lay them to the side, and let's go out here and kick some butt and make some money.
How old were you when your brother passed?
Believe it or not, I was 42 years old.
Wow. And so your whole life started basically from that moment in a different direction?
Well, I don't think my whole life started from that moment. I think my whole life started from, all the trials and tribulations, the family abuse I went through young. I think all that stuff made it to where, you become numb after a period of time. I use the analogy all the time. It's like if you took all your clothes off and you stood out in the middle of the street and everybody started passing you, for the first 30 minutes, you'd be the most embarrassed person on earth. And over the next 2 days, you'd probably get used to it. Well, in my case, I kind of got used to just the trials and tribulations and the failures and getting back and trying again. I got used to it. But I think when I quit, I think the defining moment was when my brother took his life. That's when I quit getting used to it. That's like, no, I'm done with this. It's time to get out here and bust my tail and become successful and show people that you can overcome all these tragedies behind me and get great wealth. Not just make a living. I mean, I wanted to be wealthy to show people that everybody could do it if they just set aside their demons and push forward.
And you ran away from home at 11, I think I read, during the abuse and started your entrepreneurial career at that point?
I did. I crawled into the, it's kind of interesting. I come home, my mother was, let's just say some very promiscuous activities, and I got to witness it, and I got very upset about it. And I went and crawled in the luggage rack of a Greyhound bus, and I ended up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I eventually hitchhiked down to Ada, Oklahoma. And that's where I resided, and I met the preacher, and that's where that section of my life began.
Got it.
So, Scott, what do you do now? I mean, I know what you do. And just for disclosure, Scott and I have a relationship, and I would call Scott a friend. But why don't you tell the audience what you do now? Because I think it's fascinating what you do and how you help people and what you've done for yourself.
Well, I have a company called Resolve Commercial, and I have a software called Resolve Suite. And what Resolve Suite does is we have an algorithm that goes into the counties and states, and it looks for distressed properties. And when we find a distressed property, typically what we're seeing is actually quite sad. It's usually elderly people that are losing their homes. And, they work their entire lives to pay for a home. They get to the end of their lives, or they pass away, and it's an inherited situation where people don't know that they even own it. But they get to the end of their lives, and, they don't have the resources. They can't work anymore. They don't have the resources to stay in their home. Well, rather than do a reverse mortgage or do something that's just going to put them in a worse situation, what we do is we go in and buy the home and give them a life estate where they can live in that home for the rest of their lives, and if they choose to. Now, some of them choose to, we buy them from, but understand that in most situations they've already lost the property because they weren't in a financial situation where they could pay their taxes. State of Tennessee is what they call a no-taking state, so they immediately put it up for auction. They sell it at auction. And then the people get evicted from their homes. So what we do is our software goes in and finds those situations. We go in and buy the home and keep the families in the home or the person in the home.
Gotcha. And what's the other company?
Resolve Commercial. The other company is Resolve Commercial. We're a commercial development company. I build crystals, White Castles, Starbucks. But I built a bunch of Starbucks. Developed. We do it all from the entitlement process all the way to the ownership process. Do a bunch of leaseback stuff. it's basically just a commercial development company, portfolio company. You're very much aware of that, I believe. You feel free to disclose them if you'd like to.
I won't. I
No,
promise.
that's all right. We're both
So,
in real estate. So.
You're from the Nashville market, Tennessee, and Tennessee's on fire in terms of the real estate market. Why don't you tell everyone a little about the Tennessee real estate market? Because I think that's your expertise.
The Tennessee real estate will make you more depressed than anything in the world if you've lived here over 20 years, because 20 years ago, downtown Nashville, you could have bought a building for $200,000. Even as early as 15 years ago, you could have bought a building for $200,000. Now you can't buy a square foot of Nashville for $200,000. So, the land is absolutely blown up here. We've got, I think, 18 or 19,000 condos in downtown Nashville that aren't even filled yet. We're getting over 100, 150 people. It's either a day, I think it's a day, 100, 150 people a day that are coming and moving to Nashville. It's a cool little city that's turning into a very metropolitan city, but it's still got the country feel to it.
So do you think real estate values are going to continue to increase? Do you think we're at a bubble? What do you think is going to happen with real estate values in Nashville?
Well, I think it's historically we're in a bubble. I think historically, if you look, for the last 75 years, it runs in cycles. And that's the cool thing about the Resolve Suite software is it's just what I call a downturn market software. So as the market starts getting more suppressed, we're going to have more people losing their homes, and our software is going to become more predominantly valuable. Right now, it's still doing extremely well in an up market, but I think Nashville's actually setting herself up for failure because they're allowing too much to be built too quickly. Rather than kind of control the infrastructure. We just had a 900 or $90 billion train or subway that was just voted on by our commission and, of course, did not pass. So our infrastructure is not really prepared to handle the inflow of people that we've got. So Nashville is kind of cutting their nose off spite their own face right now.
So would you encourage people to buy real estate there or wait until there's the bubble bursts a little bit?
Oh, I actually would not encourage people to buy in Nashville right now.
Is that because
first
you're
of all,
buying?
if you buy in Nashville right now, you're going to be buying at a 2 or 3 cap, which means that you're not going to have a bunch of profit margin inside of it, and you're going to have a lot of liability. I think maybe 18 months to 2 years, you're going to start seeing a decline, and it's going to become back more to reasonable. But then it could be upwards to 5 years before we see any type of value-added properties that are really predominantly available in Nashville. Now, you can go to the outskirts of Nashville and still get some pretty good deals, but nothing in Nashville is going to be remotely close to something that's it would be an educated purchase or a good purchase.
Gotcha.
Do you work alone, or do you have partners, or how do you navigate the real estate business?
Well, my software does a lot of the navigation for me. Again, the software has an algorithm that goes in and finds distressed properties. That can be commercial properties, or it could be land, or it could be residential properties. So as we're helping people with the software, we also run into a lot of, I ran into a hotel yesterday. It's a $3.4 million hotel that was lost at a tax sale for $700,000. And that's obviously a piece of property that I'm going to go after because, we've got the process to redeem that piece of property and put it back in a perfected position for that value. So that's predominantly how I find my projects. But on occasion, I get a phone call and, somebody saying, still a good old buddy town too, So occasionally I get a phone call and a good old buddy sends me a deal.
Scott, it seems... Again, your story is one of getting knocked down and getting up and overcoming. What do you say or what advice do you give people who have a hard time for whatever reason? Because it seems to me everyone gets knocked down multiple times in life. Everyone gets it. How do you encourage or what do you say to people who just have a hard time getting back up, whatever they were knocked down by? How do you encourage them?
Well, it's really quite simple, and it seems almost silly to say it this way, but it really is quite simple. One more day, one more day. If you just think of it that way, okay, tomorrow is it might be just as bad as today was, but if you can just get to the next day, eventually your luck's going to change. And if you continue to work hard and you keep good integrity, and I tell everybody they took my reputation, but they can't take my integrity. And the U.S. government did. They will never take my integrity. But you got to get to the next day, and it's really, really important that you don't get caught up so much in the past, or even sometimes even the present. You really important to look to the next day and just keep compounding the next day. And eventually, the sun's going to shine eventually. It can't be dark forever. So it's eventually going to shine. It's a natural course of life that you're going to have ups and downs. It's that way in anything you do. It's that way if you have a successful business and you're making hundreds of millions of dollars, you're going to have down months, you're going to have up months. So just get to the next day.
It sounds a little bit like a 12-step program or something. Is that based on that in any way, or is that just your own, found philosophy?
Jack, I apologize. I didn't hear what you said.
I said it sounds like a little bit like a 12-step program, living day to day and that kind of thing. Is that based on that in any way, or is that something that you found on your own?
No, I'm gonna be honest with you. I probably should be ashamed of this. I'm promoting my book, so don't look me up in my Entrepreneur Pocket Guide book and promote my books. But yet I hardly read. I tell you what happened with my situation. I was just laying in bed one night, and after my brother had committed suicide, and I just kept telling myself, don't fall asleep, don't fall asleep. Every time I fell asleep, I'd be sad to get to the next day. And then I had to make a decision in life to decide that I wanted to wake up happy. So I started working on just every morning, no matter what the day was going to be like, I was going to try to wake up happy. And I was going to get out of bed and just try to smile and laugh. And if my bad day turned bad, so be it. But I wanted to wake up happy. And I just kind of started working on my own self growth. And I kind of came up with that idea, and it worked. So pulled me through the depression and it pulled me through the hardships. If you sit here and you dwell about, everybody says, well, I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim. Well, yeah, you were a victim, but you don't have to continue to be one. You can decide that you're no longer a victim and you can go persevere past it, but you've got to make that decision within yourself.
So you have to have a lot of inner strength to not play the victim role, because it seems a lot of people don't have that strength, or they can't fight the demons, because suicide, we've done numerous shows on it, is epidemic proportion, and people aren't talking about it. Everyone's embarrassed or scared to talk about it, but I think it's affected virtually everyone in the country.
Well, when you get to the point, there's nobody that will tell the truth that would not say that at some point in time that they haven't considered it. Because it's the easy way out. Well, let's be truthful about it. So, the easy way out is never glamorous in anything that you do. And it sure isn't glamorous when you'll face what I had to face. But, and I know a lot of people face a lot of things much worse than me. But, suicide is one of those things where a lot of people would like to call it a disease. And maybe it is, but in my particular situation, it was more of it's a decision. It really comes down to making a decision whether or not you're going to allow it to consume you, or you're going to try to, fight through it and find anything good. I don't care what you find. I don't care if it's a drink of water that tastes good that day, that's a good part of your day. You got to start reaching for all the good you can find in a day and start, eventually expanding that good, and eventually through time, you're going to find the light, but you cannot allow the dark to consume you, and that's all you think about. And it's not easy, and I know it's not easy, but you have to do it if you want to survive it.
Got it. Right. I got it. How do you, how much of the hardships of your past do you think affected your tremendous success today? In other words, if you hadn't gone through these problems, how would it have affected you today? Or do you think it's really made you the strong man you are?
Well, my tagline, slogan, or whatever you want to call it, is my adversity has given me my diversity. Everything that I've went through in my life has led me up to being who I am today, whether it's good or bad. And I'm going to be honest with you, the bad probably gave me a greater education than the good, because when you go through a bankruptcy, you spend quite a bit of time there. So you learn all the laws, regulations, and rules. And, when you go through the federal thing that I went through, you learn even more than that. And you become more cautious, and you start thinking about everything you do. So, and then of course, when you go through, obviously, child abuse and the things, all of a sudden you start recognizing those things. If you're not exposed to it, then you can't learn from it. And I think it's made me, and of course I'm sure not promoting people to be exposed to any of those things, but those exposures to those things have made me extremely diversified in business, and I feel quite confident that there's not much I can't do in business.
Right. Can we just take a brief moment and talk a little bit about, I guess, what happened with the law and your case? When I think I read you sold someone like $200,000 worth of an energy drink at some point, and I'm not sure what happened. I'll let you tell the story better than I can.
Well, I'll give you the highlight reel of it. No good deed goes unpunished. I had started a subsidiary company of my company with my father, and my father was running a subsidiary company, and we sold. Obviously, he has the same name as I do. We sold 3 loads of Red Bull to a company out of Memphis, Tennessee, and 2 of those loads did not get delivered. Consequently, 2008 crash hit, and we went out of business. And obviously, we had taken the money for the 2 loads and not delivered the product to them. I, being the owner of the company and the principal head of the company, obviously, I was the one that they investigated. And I didn't know this until 2000. This was 2008. It happened, and I didn't know anything about it until the FBI knocked on my door in 2013 and said, "Okay, there was a transaction that happened inside your company, and tell us about it." Well, I was wise enough and been through enough of my life that I knew better than to talk, so I just simply said, "I reach out to my attorneys." The 2 loads, we went out of business. The 2 loads didn't get delivered. The people that owned the distributing company on the other side, the brother was an FBI agent. That moved us to the top of the list. It's kind of sad. It should have been a civil matter, but they made it a criminal matter like, we had set out. My personal situation, my companies in 2012, 13, 14, had started becoming very financially successful again. I had gotten past the suicide, I got past the depression. I had a baby in the womb and a 1-year-old or 2-year-old, excuse me. And, I was put in a situation where I had to make the ultimate business decision. Do I want to spend $1 million and prove my innocence? Or do I want to spend $250,000 and go on probation? And by the way, I like to use this analogy, and I know this pisses people off, but I'm going to say it anyway. Do I want to put my hands do I want to put my life's hands into 12 people that work for Sonic? And I love Sonic. I love their cheeseburgers, but quite frankly, I'm not really interested in them deciding whether or not I'm a good or bad person. If I walk in a new suit, he stole money and used it to buy the new suit. If I walk in an old suit, he stole it because he needed it. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been on a jury? I would probably answer that as no, because most people are pretty, that have business and have businesses they're running are smart enough to get out of jury duty. So I didn't want to run that risk of, and I know that probably insults a lot of people, but you just have to be insulted on it, because I didn't want to run the risk of people that didn't have an education in that area making a decision on my life. So I decided to go ahead and plead it, and we played it down to probation only and pay full restitution, which I paid on the spot. I didn't put it on payments. I didn't do none of that crap. I paid it on the spot because I had successful companies and I wanted to continue that success. Didn't want to lose everything again like I'd done so many times in the past. And it ended up being the best decision I made, because 22 months later, Resolve Suite, being such a powerful software, grabbed a lot of attention by the FBI because it's such a powerful software, and they wanted to pull me off of probation and pull me off of compliance probation and put me on full-blown probation like I was a drug dealer. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen. So I went back and fought the courts and won and was completely removed off of probation in totality. As a matter of fact, the judge said I shouldn't have been prosecuted in the first place.
So I got to jump in here because I've been involved with the criminal justice system before, as I've told Scott. And I can tell you firsthand, I went through something similar to Scott, but different. The government can put such pressure on, it's such a corrupt system and it's such an unjust system, they can make any person plead guilty to anything, right? Because they lie, they put pressure. What they do is they say, we're going to put you in jail for 100 years and we're going to charge everyone in your family. It's unbelievable the things the government can do to put pressure. I think if people only knew, it's just crazy how corrupt the criminal justice system is and the damage they do. They're destroying the fabric of society. Right. And we've done shows on it before, and I'll continue to do shows on it because it's not the America that we think it is. And it's just terrible. But Scott, you're being getting a little shy, and I want to jump in because I believe, and tell me if I'm wrong, I hope I'm not wrong, that 100% of the books, don't look me up, I'm trying to keep plugging it, goes to suicide prevention, or am I correct with that?
Yeah, 100% of my book. When I wrote this book, I didn't write this book to make money. I wrote this book because of a sad place in my life, and I felt like that it was a life that needed to be exposed because it is. I had hoped that it would be an inspiration to people to realize that you can struggle through anything and make it through it if you fight hard enough, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. So 100% of the money goes to suicide prevention. I've never had a single penny out of the book since its inception. I never will take a penny out of it. I want all the proceeds to go to suicide prevention, not just part of it, just simply because. I get pissed off sometimes when I hear some of these people that talk about charity, and we know that it's not really true charity. So I want all my money to go to it, and I've never taken a penny from it. So
Don't be shy. I want to get the word out there because it's tragic. During this show, I think the statistic is every 11 minutes, someone's taking their own life, which is terrible. And I think, tell me if I'm wrong or right, your new book, The Entrepreneur's Pocket Guide, is free to people if they just pay shipping and handling, correct?
it is free. You can go to scottlumley.org. And you can, it's free, just pay, I think it's $4.95 shipping. It's basically just a guide. It's a real broke down, very simplistic version. I watch all these guys writing these financial books and telling people how to do, get into business, do all this kind of, and quite frankly, they even confuse me. I wanted to write something that was down to earth, simple, understandable, relatable, where anybody could pick it up. I even go so far as to simply using what I consider one of the simplest businesses in the world, which is a lawn mowing business. And it's actually where I started my business career as garden center and a lawn mowing business. So I use that as the analogy throughout the book. It gives direct links on funding, where to get funding, financing, how to set up your corporation, direct links where you don't have to pay an attorney to do it. It gives you pretty much everything you need from start to finish where you can take and set your corporation up, set your company up, and also mindset, talks about mindset, what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And you get so much fluff in these dang books, it pisses me off. There's 15 pages of fluff and 2 paragraphs of what it takes in mindset. Well, this book is 2 paragraphs of what it takes to have a mindset, not 15 pages of fluff.
It's a good book. I think it just came out like 2-3 weeks ago.
It did. It's just come out. Matter of fact, our first round of printing lands on Monday and starts shipping out. So, yeah, again, you go to scottlumley.org and love feedback on it as well. We've had a lot of feedback on it so far, and it's been really good feedback.
Got it. How do you have time to write these books? Because I've been actually trying to write a book that's been like 98% done for 5 years. I never have time. Do you sleep at night, or are you one of those guys who just don't sleep that much?
I don't think I ever rest. Business doesn't sleep. I tell people that all the time. Making money doesn't sleep. If you don't learn how to create passive incomes, which we do through our commercial portfolio, if you don't learn how to create day-to-day cash flows, which we do through our Resolve suite, then you're not going to have time to do much of anything. And I think learning to create passive incomes, learning to create day-to-day cash flow has put me in a position to have time to do these types of things. But I'm still a 20-hour, probably 18 to 20-hour person. And I probably always will be. I don't think I'll ever quit working. I don't think I'll ever quit fighting. Everybody thinks to make money, you got to be a king among men. I think I'm just simply a warrior.
Right. And what do you do to enjoy the fruits of your labor? Do you have a car collection, or do you have horses?
Yeah, I got a few cars. I've got a Lamborghini, a couple. I've got a McLaren and a Ferrari, and I've got a few toys that I like to play with. I don't like to talk about them a lot because you feel like you're bragging, and you feel like you don't want to feel like you're bragging. But I hope that those. First illustration, when I go to a gas station, I get flocked by people look at the car, and I always take the time to let everybody sit in the car, take pictures, because if it inspires somebody, then it's a tool. It's a tool. If you just walk around arrogantly with it, then it's not a tool. So I want to make sure people understand that those things I enjoy, but I also get enjoyment out of other people that enjoy them too.
Got it.
I would never let anyone sit in my car. I'm a little bit of a germaphobe, to be honest with you. I don't even like to have the valet it because I just don't like people touching it. They're sweaty and disgusting, and You're a
Well,
nicer guy
hey,
than
look,
me.
yeah, I like smiles. I mean, I'm in the smile business, and smiles to me are just like getting a pocket full of money. And to watch somebody who, 7-year-old boy and his dad's standing there and his dad can't afford that car and never probably will be able to afford the car. And a 7-year-old boy has always dreamed about that car. Maybe he can be, by sitting in my car for 2 minutes and having a picture taken, he can put on his Instagram or his Facebook or his wall. It might inspire him to go out here and change the world. Who knows? I don't know, but I hope by doing that. And so he gets a little germy, he gets a scratch on it. It's just a car. It's going to fade away anyway. But that smile and that kid having an opportunity to enjoy that won't fade. It'll never fade.
Right. Are you still a cowboy? Do you still ride horses, shoot guns? What's your
No, I've retired from riding cowboys. Only blondes, redheads, and brunettes now.
There you go.
So I'm off of horses and bulls, and I'm done.
There you go. Save a horse, ride a cowboy, right?
What was
That's
that,
right. I'm off the horses, and I'm just newly single, so I'm just enjoying life right now.
Sounds great.
You're not married.
Just recently divorced.
So is this is this an infomercial to hook Scott up?
Hey, look, whatever works. I'm the most eligible bachelor in Nashville. I can tell you that right now.
Gotcha. So what's your type, out of curiosity?
Quiet.
I'm not going to say anything with that, else I'm going to get in big trouble.
Other
than quiet, what are the parameters? Because I'd love to come to a wedding in Nashville if I make a match here, and I want to see if I can get some eligible bachelorettes.
My type. I don't know if I have a type. I think I'm obviously attracted to a pretty woman, but I'm also attracted to a smart woman too. And they don't have to be entrepreneur level women, but they have to, have a brain and be smart and be able to carry on a conversation. There's nothing worse than coming home and trying to tell somebody about your day, and they're literally looking at you like, what in the world are you talking about? So you got to have, for me, that mental nurturing is just as important as the physical side of it. So, but she better be hot too, because I don't need no, ugly girls hanging out with.
What age group?
Oh, what's the limits of the law again? I forgot.
I think I don't know, 18 or 21. I know.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. Yeah, that's perfect.
Gotcha. So you want a younger woman?
I just want a good one, but younger don't hurt if she's good.
Okay. Well, look, ladies, go for it. Scott, why don't you give your social media handles and addresses? How do people get in touch with you? How do they buy the books? And spread the word.
Well, you can go to scottlumley.com. That's my main website. It obviously has all my social media links there as well. You can go to scottlumley.org, and that's going to be where you can pick up the Entrepreneur Pocket Guide. We obviously have Resolve Suite and Resolve Commercial. You can also reach me if you have, commercial needs or consulting needs through those as well. Facebook, my personal Facebook's full, obviously. So, but my public one, I believe, is Scott Lumley. I believe it's just Scott Lumley. You can always tell which ones are my social media handles because they'll usually have a real fancy car behind me.
Gotcha. So just go Google Scott Lumley. That's the bottom line.
Scott, thank you so much.
Scott, we appreciate you being on the show, and you have to make one, I don't want to say commitment, but if you get any hot girls out of this, I'm married 32 years. Just come on and tell me about it and what happens. I want to hear all the juicy details. And by the way, feel free, even if there's no juicy details, just make them up. Just add spark to my life.
I can always send pictures.
Absolutely. I love it. Scott and I are both Todd and I are both immature, so we love it. So, Scott, I appreciate you coming on. It means a lot to me. Everyone go out and buy the book. Don't look me up and Google Scott Lumley. He's a great guy, and I think it's a really American inspirational story, and I know a lot of people are hurting. I think they're going to feel better when they read this book and follow your story. So, Scott, thank you very much. Everyone else, we'll be back in 1 minute.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, buddy.
chances to serve much more than you grab.
Tell us when.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Todd, what'd you think?
I think it was great, and I think it's about time we got down to business, Jack. I mean, it's been about 4 or 5 interviews since we really had a business conversation, and that was a good one, so I'm glad we had it.
So, you know what I love this about the show? We could talk about sex, sick sex, sick sex. Yes, I apologize, not sick sex. And God forbid, suicide, all in the same conversation.
Right.
And it seems to flow so naturally.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. I mean, we're not.
You don't
really
think it
listening,
flows?
So I don't know. I apologize to any listeners out there that don't like that flow, but we do talk a wide swath of topics. So
Yeah. So, look, I think Scott's story is terrific because a lot of people get knocked down, and I've been knocked down a million times in my
Right.
life. We all have issues, but you got to somehow work your way through the issues and get back up.
I agree. I mean, there's not anyone else out there that you pass on the street or that you know that doesn't have their own problems and things that are going on in their life, some of which you know about, some of which you don't, that, and they say if everyone could put their problems on a table, on a dining room table, you would always end up taking your own problems back instead of someone else's problems that you don't know. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think everyone's hurting. Everyone's dealing with some things that, are very difficult in life. Life can be very cruel. And, we get through it in various ways. And that was a great story. Scott is fascinating.
I agree. Anyway, I think we have, I don't mean to jump into another segment, but I think we have Cliff Pierre on the phone, who's a social media marketing expert. Cliff, are you with us?
Hey, Cliff.
Cliff, you look like you're downtown Miami. Where are you, Cliff?
No, I'm actually in Lauderdale.
Oh, you're downtown Fort Lauderdale?
I think I see the beach.
Yeah.
Are you hanging out by the beach?
Can you see me?
I
Yes.
can see you. This is what social media marketing people are doing?
Lauderdale. Getting dinner. It was
You-
a good day.
You're getting dinner while you're talking to us on live, on the live?
What are you
Why?
eating?
You're great. So, Cliff, why don't you tell everyone what you do in social media marketing? I love this, by the way. This is great.
What I do is I leverage. So if you were in a restaurant, people that let's say you're a Mexican restaurant, want to target people that like tacos for your taco special, you can go onto Facebook and target people based on certain their interest behaviors and run an ad with your special and run it within a 10-15 mile, get people into your business. It's not that hard. Really simple once you actually get the hang of it, and you can drive a lot of traffic into any business with it.
I can't hear you. I don't know if it's our connection or the feedback.
It might be.
It might be yours. Cliff, why don't we do this? We want to have you on social media. I think marketing is a huge thing today. It's the way of the future. I think it's a great investment, but I want to be able to focus. I don't know if you can get in a better spot, or we'll have you on another time.
I'm getting this better spot right now.
Oh, I hear you much better.
Okay, Cliff. So why don't you tell us a little bit about social media marketing? Unfortunately, we're running late, so we got to be concise if we can.
So social media basically is the future of social media is the future of marketing in general. If you're not on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. There's a lot of internet marketers that are spending a lot of money. There was about $40 billion spent last year in advertising dollars on Facebook alone. And there was definitely a profit or a huge return on that investment. Marketers would not be spending that large sums of money without a return on their investment. And if you're a big Gary Vee follower, Gary Vee mentions it a lot too, how most small businesses are not utilizing it the way they could, and most big businesses are not. So it's a new market, and it's an opportunity to just take advantage of and innovate your marketing strategy.
I'm not familiar with Gary Vee, but a lot of people say that Trump won the election because of effective social media marketing, where he targeted, I guess scientifically or through algorithms, people who wanted to hear his message.
So what he did is he hired this firm called Cambridge Analytica. And if you look into Cambridge Analytica, they're a data company, and they're in a huge scandal right now with Facebook. And they use all the data from people on Facebook, and they kind of, I don't want to say manipulated people, but they took advantage of certain pain points and kind of gave people certain ads that would kind of instigate them to vote or kind of encourage them to vote for Trump based on their fears or based on their worries. And they've been successful using the similar type of data in several countries. And you can target people based on like their political interests, whether they're conservatives, whether they're liberals, and all this data is right on Facebook, and it's open for anybody to use.
So when you say the data, like if I like something or put a sad face or a happy face, somebody at Big Brother or Facebook's tracking that and tracking what I support and what I don't like in the comments, things like that?
It's more so your targets, your behaviors, and your interests. So if you like certain pages that are related to Trump, or if you like certain pages that are related to Clinton, they're going to say, all right, this person's more of a Clinton supporter, and this person's more of a supporter of Trump. And if you like pages that are anti-Trump, then you can target those people and say, let's try to convince them to vote for Trump. Let's try to find something that they may not like about Hillary, and we're going to use that to our advantage, and vice versa. Clinton did not use as much advertising dollars as Trump did in that last election, so she kind of used a more traditional form of advertising, and Trump was mainly on Facebook. Trump had teams of Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I wrote a paper on the whole election and how Trump used Twitter more as his PR for scandals and was always in the news and got a lot of free advertising dollars, but Clinton didn't. So there's a lot of things that Trump did using social media that Clinton didn't, and he's considered one of the first Twitter presidents.
So do you use those same methodology to help your clients? Let's say I'm a local doctor, or I'm going to use a plastic surgeon who does breast augmentations, because that's the only thing I could think
Your
about right
mind
now.
is unbelievable.
I know. I try to keep it sharp and crisp and, full.
Like spa. Say if you're a spa and you like, say if you're looking for people that like going to spas, you can target people based on their behavior just for spas. If you like want to target people that travel a lot, you can target people that travel a lot. There's so many different points where you can target people. I can't even believe it as I go through it. So like say if you have a nail salon or a nail care, there's a targeting for nail care. So you would choose the nail care targeting and then choose people or target people that have interest in nail salons or beauty products or whatever like nail brands that you think that would be familiar with that brand or that consumer. So all that consumer data is pooled into Facebook, and there's a company called Oracle. It's like a cloud software company. They work with Facebook, and they basically just pool all this data and put it into one, and you can target people based on a lot of things.
Now, when you say you can target people, do you recommend people have their own in-house social media people, or should they hire someone who's focused in that space and sort of, allow them to come in and get a presence for them?
I say it depends. It's going to take you at least 6 months to a year to really understand everything. Like, it took me a while to really understand this information. If you want to learn on your own, you're going to spend a lot of money in the meantime. You can spend the money and learn like that, or you can just pay a professional and skip the learning phase and skip the learning curve and just get straight to the money.
So if someone wants to hire you, how do they get in touch with you? We only have, a minute or two left.
You can send me an email at cliffpierre@revenueboomers.com. I'm also offering a free 7-day trial where I educate business owners on the benefits of marketing on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. I'll spend about 10 hours with you, whether it's in person. If you're in the Miami area, I can come to your store, come to your location, and I can
Or
show
they
you
can go to dinner with you on Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
I'm teasing. So revenue boomers, I think we lost them. Revenueboomers.com.
Well, yeah, let's run a commercial for Cliff on our Hey Cliff.
Hey Cliff. So revenueboomers.com.
Yeah, cliffpierre@revenueboomers.com.
Okay, Cliff, thank you very much. And by the way, what are you eating tonight for dinner?
Actually, I just had some awesome lasagna. Some awesome linguine pasta with some chicken. Alfredo.
Are you with a female or a male, or like what's the context of the dinner?
Honestly, I have a friend that came and visited me from Boston, so So I had to go to the airport, pick her up, and bring her to Fort Lauderdale, get some time on the beach, and get some food while we were here, while I was waiting for this interview.
Yeah, we finally got a little break from all the rain we've been having the last couple days.
Are you a single guy? We were trying to fix up our last guest, so I might as well give you a plug. Are you a single guy, or are you taken out of curiosity?
Definitely single guy. I'm single in Miami, living the life to the fullest, running my digital marketing agency.
Gotcha. So if anyone's single women who's attracted to Cliff, go to revenueboomers.com. Cliff, you have to make me the same promise. If you like hook up or get any action out of this, you got to come back and tell us.
Jack, you're trying to make a shit-off with everyone we're talking to.
Yeah, I
today.
know. Just happens that way.
What was the name of the woman in Fiddler on the Roof?
Yet
What's
to
the
the
name of the-
matchmaker.
Yeah, right.
Well, Cliff, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We'll let you go back to your lady friend, and we'll have you on another time when you're not going to dinner or eating lasagna.
Thanks, Cliff.
But thank you, Cliff.
No problem.
Todd, great show. Great show. I want to do more on social media marketing because it's really the
Yeah,
future.
I think we need to do another show on that.
It's great. Everyone else, next week, super show again. Watch us. Just got a lot of great stuff coming along. Todd, have a great week. And again, sorry about your uncle.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a great week.
Thank
Jack.
you, everyone. We love you, and check us out online.
The earth was created